We have all the makings of that, and we're standing up for democracy and freedom, human rights, and rights supporters. I know we share those views, you and I. And together we're working to address historic levels of migration, and there's a lot of people moving around, and I admire the way you handle it, particularly the Venezuelan refugees, which you set an example for the region.
Can also get up to $100 and even $400 and $300 as well. For those with student debt, here's the latest news. The last few months have been definitely confusing. We all know that. President Biden said in August that he'd be forgiving up to $20,000 for millions of borrowers. But before that celebrating could even happen, Republicans brought a slew of changes to the policy, leaving it in jeopardy even as the application for the relief went live. So since October, about 22 million Americans have applied for forgiveness. Yet the biggest setback for the Biden administration is when the U.S. Appeals Court temporarily blocked it from moving forward. In September, the Republicans in the General Assembly all agreed that they tried to sue the Biden administration to stop its plans to cancel hundreds of billions of dollars in student debt. The U.S. District Judge has also ruled early this month that while the states had raised important and significant challenges to the debt relief plan, they ultimately lacked legal standing to pursue the case. The 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals also granted the state's emergency petition, leaving the Biden administration unable to forgive any student debt for now. The GOP-led states are accusing the president of overstepping his authority. The Education Department, in order to protect this broader loan forgiveness policy, has now said that borrowers need to have consolidated their loans by the end of September to be eligible. They no longer can do so to qualify. According to CBS News, an 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals did on Friday, and they froze the president's plan until it decides whether or not to keep the plan on hold for the duration of the state's appeals. Now, the White House press secretary also said in an official statement that tonight's temporary order does not prevent borrowers from applying student debt relief. It also does not prevent us from reviewing those applications and preparing them for transmission to loan servicers. So, hopefully President Biden can get the stimulus check sent out and out to the people who need it the most. We all know that President Biden has to do more for the American people and send out stimulus payments sooner than later.
The equity market is not representing the U.S. economy, and I would especially say that I think the tech sector does not represent the U.S. economy. So when we look at the JOLTS data earlier this week, job separations actually fell. When we look at
After 20 years of annual polling, it is found that no less than 80% of retirees rely on their Social Security benefit in some capacity to meet their monthly expenses. But with the U.S. debt limit and ceiling deadline looming, more than 66 million beneficiaries are wondering whether the Social Security checks will be on the chopping block. The debt ceiling represents the authorized borrowing limit for the federal government. It's important to keep in mind that it doesn't include borrowing for new spending or projects. Rather, it's to cover the federal debt limit and existing financial obligations. At no point in America's history has the federal government defaulted on its legal financial obligations, which is why the current debt limit impasse between Democrats and Republicans on Capitol Hill was turning heads. The expectation prior to this week is that Treasury lawmakers had perhaps 2 or 3 months to agree on a bill that would raise, because the payments are just based on a number of things. People in different households, like your income payments, favor families, and if you're having a dependent, you'll get more money. Under the American Rescue Plan from Joe Biden, he signed into law. It did send out $1,400 per person, but this means that larger families are likely to get some bigger checks with people compared to the people who have no money at all. In Idaho, where IRS data showed that households enjoyed the second biggest average payout, at $2,300 a month for people with around 2.5 dependents. States with the smallest average per household payments are people in the Northeast, rounding at the bottom. That's around $2,000 a month of stimulus cash, everybody. And Massachusetts had also the biggest and second smallest payment at an average of $2,200 a month. Families in the Northeast tend to be smaller compared to those in many western mid-states, because those people have higher incomes and likely limited number of people eligible that are in for more stimulus cash. For instance, the last round of checks provided $1,400 to each single taxpayer, and now it's $2,800 if you're finally making less than $150,000. Above those dollar thresholds, the payments taper off. The IRS announced that more than half of the payments have been sent to households making less than $50,000 a year. Households earning less than $10,000 received the greatest number of payments, with the tax agency sending more than 22 million checks to the income group. That's far more than expected. Back in September, though, the IRS announced it was attempting to contact the nearly 9 million low-income people. Resume, you can then also expect 2 payments in June, September, and December. But the timing is different for standard Social Security benefits, and those benefits are not affected by this calendar. In general, the Social Security Administration typically distributes checks on the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Wednesday of each month, depending on your birthday, and in such situations, including if you both Social Security receive that and also the SSI payments, or if you started claiming benefits on May 1997. Because your Social Security is paid on the 3rd of each month, and your SSI is paid on the 1st. Yahoo News may be eligible to receive a single lump sum payment representing 6 months worth of Social Security retirement, and the lump sum option is just only available to people who have reached the full retirement age without willing to receive the benefits, and it will result in a permanently lower monthly benefit for anybody who receives it. But when the time comes to file with the Social Security Administration to start receiving the retirement benefits, you get the option to receive up to 6 months worth of benefit payments in a single lump sum. These retroactive benefit payments are not available to everybody who claims benefits and are seeking a lump sum payout. Social Security's old retirement benefits can be claimed by most people starting at age 62. By waiting a few years until full retirement age, you can become eligible to receive a larger monthly benefit. If you wait until age 70, you get the maximum monthly benefit. From 62 to 70, the benefit increases by 8%. After you've received the full retirement age, you can be claiming up to 6 months of benefits to be paid in a single lump sum. And if you reach full retirement age in July and wait until the following January to start claiming benefits, you can request a check for the benefits that you have received and have claimed as soon as possible by the time it's July. Because a lump sum could be sizable in 2023, the average Social Security monthly benefit is $1,800. Someone who chose to receive the maximum 6 months of retroactive benefits could theoretically expect a check of $10,000.
Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. I think it's outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit to increase domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the
price of essentials going up. So, the Back to Work program in Connecticut just gave a $1,000 check to the first 10,000 unemployed individuals. About $10 million was allocated for the program. In Florida, some teachers and employers will receive a $1,000 payment. Teachers and first responders were eligible. The one-time payment for workers in Florida was a thank you bonus to those who were working during the crisis. Last year, Georgia paid full-time and administrators $1,000. Part-time teachers received $500. Approximately 230,000 K-12 teachers and staff were eligible for the payment. The city of Chicago will also be giving $500 to 5,000 low-income families as part of its guaranteed basic